Hello, everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. Yes, we're playing Leeds tomorrow. There's only one man that I can bring on here. Well, there's a few to be fair, but Wainman stands out. Joe, how are we doing, mate? How are we feeling about tomorrow? Obviously, it's just round the corner now. What are the feelings like?
I'm not looking forward to it, Corey. I can't lie. Look, Leeds are threadbare. Leeds seem to be in a bit of disarray injury-wise. 7 first teamers out. West Ham have continued to get better and better. You've had a great start to the season. And I look at the game, and it's probably the first time I can honestly say under Bielsa. And this is mad, really, because it's West Ham, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just thinking back to last season, Man City, all these teams that we played, I backed us. But this is probably the first time I've looked at a game and gone, we're going to really struggle. Like, we are going to really struggle.
Yeah, it feels like that to me. Coming last season, it felt on an even kilter. I felt that it was two opposing styles, a counter-attacking team versus a high-press team, and whoever could get the best, and we did last season. But now coming into this fixture, given the past couple of games, and it's been weird for me, mate, as a West Ham fan, because to adjust where we're at as a club now, when we are able to compete high, we're thinking, hang on a minute, we are favourites, and the injuries do make it difficult for you. Who is the biggest loss out of those 7?
It's got to be Bamford for me. I know a lot of people will say Rafinha because a lot of it goes through him, but Bamford does so much up top, and he's our focal point. And whenever anyone's come in to swap for him, or when he's been injured, it's never been the same. I think, look, and Rafinha and Harrison are touch and go. They could still play. There's images now on Twitter. Rafinha's with the team. He's just come and got off the coach and into the hotel where they spend the night before games. So he's with the team. He looked to be hobbling to me. People are disagreeing with me on Twitter. You'll have to check it out. He looks like he's hobbling. People are saying it's the weight, it's the bag. And I'm like, I'm not sure. The bag like this.
he's an athlete, mate. I'm pretty sure he can do it.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. So I'm getting stick for suggesting he's hobbling. So he might play. Look, he wasn't ready. We heard on the grapevine that he wasn't fit for Newcastle. Then he played. Then he was substituted late into the second half. Now, that never happens. So I believe he's carrying a knock anyway. But due to the frailties with the squad currently, he'll probably take some painkillers, have an injection or whatever, and he'll probably play tomorrow, which will be a huge boost. It will be a huge boost. But I think for me, if he doesn't, who would I miss the most? For me, it'd be Patrick Bamford, because I just don't think we have an adequate replacement, which is mad when you think we've got Rodrigo.
Yeah.
But it's not really worked.
It's an experiment, isn't it, with Rodrigo? Yeah. It did surprise me that Bielsa brought him in for the amount of money that he did, with an idea of changing a player that had been so successful at number 9. Yeah. I watched him against Newcastle. You were obviously there. I thought he was better. I thought the link-up was better. I think there is something possibly there between Bamford and Rodrigo in terms of that. But again, do you expect Rodrigo to play number 9 tomorrow?
Sorry, just do that last bit, mate. You cut out there for me, Corey.
It's all right, man. No, do you think that Rodrigo is going to play up top tomorrow then, rather than that number 8 he's played?
No, I don't. I would prefer him to. That would be my selection, mate. I would prefer him to play there, but I don't. I think he'll go in the 8 again. It's not quite the 10, like a high 8, as you mentioned, and I think he'll go with Tyler Roberts, which again is
that's interesting, mate. That really is, because Bielsa does keep trusting Tyler Roberts, and you can obviously tell better than me, but I just don't see anything. I know he can press hard. He's obviously sort of adapted to that style of play. But in terms of quality, did you really ever think that Tyler Roberts can get to a point where he's a little bit more effective than he is now?
I hope so, mate. I do hope so. But like I say, he's been here now, 4 seasons under Bielsa. I mean, he earned himself a new contract last season, which a few of us now look back at and think, was it the right decision? His finishing leaves a lot to be desired. For me, and, obviously being in the ground, it can be frustrating watching him. He's very frustrating. I think first 1 or 2 actions, like he'll get the ball, he'll do a decent turn, or he'll do a nice dribble. It's what comes after that. You know, his touch will be decent. He'll turn, he'll beat a man, and then you're thinking, right, lay it off there or have an effort at goal, and it always breaks down, bro. And for me, I would go with Rodrigo up top. I would play Click and I would play Dallas in midfield. But I just don't see that. I think he'll go Roberts up top, Rodrigo in the I8, and then probably Click in midfield, and Dallas might play at right back, which again, I'm like, it's square pegs in round holes, mate, really, at Leeds United at the minute. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I got to be honest, looking from a West Ham point of view.
Will you shut this door for me, please?
What's that?
Did you hear me then?
Yeah.
Oh, I've muted it. But I thought I'd muted it.
Sorry. Shut what though? No, look,
that's killed me off. Saying, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. Look, I was just saying that obviously with those injuries and square pegs and round holes, you know, Rodrigo in the 8, I think West Ham can really take advantage of that. I know it may seem a little bit overconfident, but I genuinely look at our team at the minute, and I'm sure maybe you feel quite similar and you think Declan Rice has played fantastically this season. Souček's been rested. This is the first time Leeds United will come up against Mikel Antonio. Are those the players that you're worried about, or are there any other West Ham players that you're fearful of?
Yeah, I think for me, Corey, I've watched West Ham a few times this season. I've been really impressed with Fornells. Really, really impressed with Fornells this season. I really like Bowen. You know, I heard what you'd said on All Stats, aren't we? His finishing can leave a lot to be desired sometimes, you know, and if that part of his game improves, then
he'll get there.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, exactly. He's still got time on his side. But I do look and think Leeds United, and I think about Liverpool and Matip being allowed to maraud up to the edge of our box. I think about Yerry Mina at Everton. And then you don't need to do that. You know, you've got Rice and Souček that can carry that for you. More predominantly Rice, you know, and I think that's going to cause us all sorts of problems. And like you've mentioned, Antonio, and the fact that we don't have a full, you know, plethora of centre backs to choose from. We've got Liam Cooper and Creswell will play. He'll make his Premier League debut. Obviously, be watching the game. What I will say to you, Corey, is check him out, because I think he'll go very, very far. You still might win the game, but just if you get a chance just to take a look at him, because I do think he'll play for England. He's a great prospect, still only 19 as well. So I think he'll make his debut. But again, coming up against Antonio, there's only really, when I look across strikers who I like, I think he's second to Lukaku. Do you know what I mean? And I think...
Yeah, do you mean it's like an overall player, like in terms of hold up and getting beyond? Yeah. Mickey's unique. Like I know people think that's a bit of a mad thing, and maybe you just said him and Lukaku, and some people think, what are you talking about? But how influential he is to us and how much he's developed as a number 9. I think some of it, again, we laugh at the XG stats. His XG is ridiculous this season already. Right. So I think we're actually seeing a player that's improving on what he's shown before. He's always been effective.
Yeah, no, he's great, isn't he? And I think I was even speaking to my friend who I go with earlier on. He dropped his season card off because he can't go tomorrow. And he was saying he's captaining him. He's captaining
really?
He's FPL.
I'll tell you what, that's a bad sign when you start doing that, mate.
So yeah, look, I think he's had a great season, and so far, I hope it continues, Corey. I like West Ham. You know, obviously, I don't want you to win on the weekend. That goes without saying.
I'll let you
and I hope he has a terrible game. But I like West Ham, and it's good to see them doing well, man. And Moyes has done a fantastic job there as well, Paul. You must be over the moon.
I am. You know what? I think, you know, it's been a real upward trajectory for us. And I suppose you can speak similarly because of Bielsa and going from the Championship. And it just feels like there's a crescendo. But Moyes has been able to achieve a level of stability that I haven't really seen at West Ham in my lifetime. I think, you know, even some people will look at West Ham in terms of memories. They'll look at Pai and they'll say that season was fantastic. Or maybe they'll say the playoff final and that season when we were winning. But in terms of the squad, developing, improving, Moyes is a hugely underrated manager. It's a weird one. He needs time to be able to implement his ideas. I didn't want him at West Ham when he felt, and I think a lot of fans felt the same. But it's so nice to have a manager that you trust.
I think you were justified at that time, though, Corey. You were justified because what had Moyes done between Everton and you guys?
Completely, and I'm so happy he's proved me wrong. I think most fans will say that we'll have an opinion on a manager, but at the end of the day, if your club's winning and they're improving, but what I'm trying to get across is the extent of how West Ham have developed. You look at there has been a lack of investment over a considerable amount of years. We've lacked squad depth. What he did with the squad last season, how he's been able to add to that, and every game I watch and I say, God, we weren't too good there. We couldn't break them down. The next week we come out and all of a sudden he's got something else. So I think there's a lot to be said about a manager that's had 1,000 games in the Prem. I think that's quite an accolade.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I think what's really impressed me is the squad now as well. Like when we were speaking just yesterday and seeing the fact that you rested your fullback 4. Do you know what I mean?
Soufal played. He played in the end, but no doubt we rested. Fredericks is injured, unfortunately. Yeah,
so he didn't play right back. Right, okay. So the majority, though, like your centre back partnership, for example, Zuma, Bonner, Rice, Souček, you're able to rotate and still get a result midweek. I think that's what's really impressive because it's funny. We spoke at the start of the season last season. We were talking about relegation, and and now look at you. You know what I mean? You're getting Europe again this season, mate. Champions League, man.
But that's what I mean, though. It's almost a little bit off-putting because you put a performance like Manchester United the other night. How many years I've seen West Ham play a Man United and get him in the third round, and you either get spanked 3-0 or you don't quite hold on, and then it goes to a second leg and then you get beaten that one. To rotate how we did, for the players to understand exactly what he wanted them to do, to be brave at Old Trafford, because I think mentality is a big thing, particularly when you're playing Manchester United. It goes just beyond that first 11. It's quite intrinsic. So I got to be honest, mate, given I'm a West Ham fan, I just enjoy it for what it is for now. And I hope it continues. And I trust Moyes and the players, and shame about the board. But other than that, it's all right.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot to be said about that mentality thing as well, because when Leeds obviously went to Old Trafford this season, we were battered 5-1. When Luke Ayling scored that equalising goal, they were still celebrating by the time. Look, you know what I mean? They still hadn't got over the fact that Luke Ayling had just scored a screamer at Old Trafford in front of an away end, first game of the season. And then whilst they're still up on a high, Greenwood made it 2-1. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, there is a lot to be said about that, I think, for sure.
Do you think, obviously, because last season's your first season for a long, long time, I won't mention the length of years because it probably hurts, but do you feel that it is going to take a while for Leeds to possibly acclimatise? I know that acclimatise is unfair.
Oh, you've muted yourself, Corey.
Hello?
Acclimatise is unfair, you said.
Acclimatise is unfair because as if you've not performed. But do you think, like you said, about you score a goal and all of a sudden the mentality is not quite there, that it's going to take a while for Leeds to start to get those expectations high and be consistent?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's happening this season. It's a bit of an anomaly because we're not used to it under Bielsa. Not used to this. Ever since he's come in, bar a few hiccups here and there, it's been sunshine and rainbows. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think even when I say it's not been like this, there was a time when we lost like 6. I think we hadn't won in 6 or something like that in the Championship, and then we got beat by Nottingham Forest, and then they had I think Bielsa actually, the story goes anyway, did a bit of a rousing speech. Bearing in mind, the media still don't think he can speak English, by the way. But he did a rousing speech in the changing room. Luke Ayling tells the story, and it just got them all G'd up. And then we went on that long run before COVID hit, and then we won the league by 10 points. So this is new. This is new for us, new for me under Bielsa. So it's really interesting because every season under Bielsa, we've started at a different pace, a different level. But it's not been the case this time, even if you go back to that first game last season against Liverpool, I know we lost, but it was like, wow. And I think this season, you've not seen that, Corey. I've not seen it once.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I haven't seen it either. I think that's why
No.
I feel slightly different coming into this fixture than I did last season, because I think when you look at Leeds, you've got some outliers in terms of players, Calvin Phillips, Rafinha, Bamford, the way he performed. But other than that, you've got players like Dallas, Alien that perform so far above their level because of their energy and what Bielsa really implements. And when it's off, it feels really off. Are you? I know we touched on it last night. Obviously, it's only 5 games in. Do you believe Bielsa can get them going again? Because energy is a strange thing. Because if you don't hit the season with pace and you get into it, how are you ever going to find that second wind?
No, I think you've made 2 great points there. I do agree with you that Leeds United's level some of the players need to be at 100%, and everything needs to work in order for us to get a positive result. Like when we did against Man City, for example, everyone was up here. Whereas if there's a few not quite at the level when you're coming up against these top sides like yourself, then you can be found wanting. So yeah, there is a lot of that, and some of the certain individuals that you mentioned, Luke Hale in Dallas, for example, they're not started the season well at all. Bielsa said so about Dallas in the press conference, which I found surprising, where he basically said Dallas is not at the level he was last season, which is quite surprising to hear. Do you know what I mean, from him? So the fact that they're not quite on it, then obviously if everyone's not 100%, like you mentioned, it just breaks down and we can be on the end of hidings. But I think we accept it as Leeds United fans because we know the good times much far outweigh the negatives. In terms of where we're at, look, I'm not concerned. I think the 10th game is my barometer of where we'll be at, because by the time we get there, we'll have then, because a lot of Leeds fans are throwing out the rhetoric. And listen, football is about opinions. Everyone's entitled. I'm not digging anyone out. But a lot of them keep saying, well, we've played Man United and Liverpool. But also, guys, like, we've also played Newcastle and Burnley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're going to be down at that end. So you can't throw out that without the other. And I think in these next 5 or so games now, we've got yourself, we've got Watford, we've got Southampton, we've got Norwich, If after 10 games, we've only picked up a couple of draws, let's say, for example, worst case scenario, a couple of draws like we have done in the first 5, then we'll start to worry. I can't lie. Because then the run after that in November and December is your Chelseas, your Arsenals. And I know they're nowhere near the same, but they're still a lot difficult than, Palace, Burnley or whatever, So
I think it's been hard this year. I've got to be honest, Joe. Like the standard of teams has improved. I think tactically, personnel, when we played Palace, we really should have won that game. For me, it's still 2 drop points even at this early stage. And then in retrospect, you look at what they did to Spurs. You think, hang on a minute, okay, maybe Palace are a better team than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
Southampton, exactly the same. We got a 0-0, we were disappointed. And then they went and got a 0-0 at the Etihad. So the teams that you feel that you should be beating, likewise with you, Burnley, Newcastle, it never is that easy.
No.
KG made a great point last night where he said most teams have match winners now. That's the biggest problem. I think where West Ham thrive a little bit is the fact that you've got Antonio, Ben Rama, Fornals, Bowen. You have to have multiple players like that all performing. And the reason why we've done so well is consistency. Like it does happen. I'm sure there will be a time where West Ham do dip, and then it will test Moyes and it will test the fans, and then we'll see how we react. But I think it's just the same for Leeds at the minute. It's just a little bit of a dip, and then the minute you find your rhythm again, you come back up. So it's a tough old slog, mate. I don't want to dig out Leeds too much.
This is the thing, bro. What better way to kick-start the season than against the West Ham side that are flying, and Leeds United have not got all their arsenal at their disposal. So for us to get a positive result against you guys, it could kick-start us. The Elland Road crowd will be buzzing, provided we don't concede early. The noise will continue, and that we have a big part to play tomorrow for sure. I just think if we can kickstart our season, this is the type of game to do it. Let's not wait for Watford next week and it's cagey and we win 1-0 or something, and then that's still not good enough, is it? Because it's still like, Watford 1-0 late on. We need to have a performance to match. We need to have a performance to match, because the levels Bielsa and Leeds United have set are up here, and we're not quite there yet. So we need a game like tomorrow, man, to show we're still Still the boyos.
It's a tough old ask. It's a tough old ask.
I know, mate.
I think we've come on levels. Like I said earlier, just in terms of playing styles and different ways of playing and getting results. I think, and for me personally, it feels like a bit of a barometer anyway this season. Leeds, I know you were much above Palace and Southampton. There's a mentality shift. West Ham are going into the game and thinking we've got to go and win. Really, we've got to go and get that 3 points. So I want to see how the team. The biggest thing for me was when we went to Zagreb and how assured we looked. And again, that's a hostile atmosphere and didn't bat an eyelid. Old Trafford, exactly the same. So Elland Road will be testing. I'll be interested to see how the players deal with it. We know what Leeds are like. First 20 minutes is going to be absolute chaos. And as long as the players are prepared for that and ride that storm, then I think we can take full advantage. But where do you think Leeds are going to finish this season? Come on, man. I'll give you a parting shot.
Right. I'd said before the season started, anywhere between 8th and 14th would be good. I mean, 8th, obviously amazing, 14th, not so much. But I think even 5 games in and what I've seen so far, 8th's out of reach, 9th's out of reach. Give me anywhere between 10th and 14th at this point. I think it's going to get smaller until I'm going anywhere from 17th to 14th. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we'll break top 10 this season, mate. Like you said, everyone's improved. The thing is, what's frustrating, and I know you'll get this, is we were so close to Europe in our first season back with 3 or 4 quality additions. We could have gone again. And the club have rested on the laurels for me a little bit. Looked at last season's acquisitions, looked at the fact that a lot of them were injured, which they were, and they've thought, if we can get everyone fully fit, then we get a full season with all our signings from last season. However, they're all bloody injured again. So, do you know what I mean? There's a reason why they were injured because they're Crocs. Do you know what I mean?
There's players there, mate. Llorente, I think, is a fantastic player. He's just never fully fit for long enough to see him.
There's only Rafinha out of all them signings. You know, I bet you don't even know who Robin Koch is. We've not seen him, man.
I do vaguely.
Yeah, Llorente, Rodrigo. Obviously, he's had his issues. So, and even Firpo, mate.
That's a massive thing for me because we spoke about Creswell and Cooper and how they're going to deal with Antonio. If you're telling me you're coming up against Llorente and Koch, we're having a different conversation. It's not as straightforward as what you think. So. I do sympathise. Injuries are a massive thing. You know, if Declan had stayed fit for 2 months, maybe West Ham would be in Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
It swings around about. So just think from the outside in, the recruitment at Leeds is. I know Bielsa is very, very sort of struck on who he wants, and he went and bought Dan James. But you got to look at that midfield, and you look at the way West Ham are playing in that midfield. I'd worry for you, mate.
I hear you, bro. Don't worry, I get it, man. Don't worry, you don't have to be nice. Like, I get it. Like, our midfield this season's been poor. And then we don't have one at times. Calvin's doing the job for 2 men, like 3 men. Do you know what I mean? He's doing it all on his own. I'm interested to see how him and Declan get on as well tomorrow. You know, they've got that little...
Do you know what, though? You look at the way Declan's playing this season. He's a little bit more advanced. He's breaking up the play a little bit further up. I know sometimes he sits deeper, but if Moyes wants to play a high press and he wants to squeeze Leeds, you get that battle. You get Phillips versus Declan. And listen, them two get on great. And I think as a pair, they're absolutely fantastic. But let's be honest, we're both looking forward to seeing them play tomorrow against each other.
I'm just looking forward to that little embrace before kickoff and that. Yes, my guy.
I love, you know, when he gave him his award, his England award, Declan Rice. I thought that's so sick, man. Like even as a West Ham fan, I was buzzing for him. I was like,
it'd be like if me and you met Corey. You know what I mean? It'd be like, oh, Corey, you know. What I mean?
Maybe one day I'll give you an award.
I might be coming to London actually in October, mate, for that award thing. So. I'll shout you, man.
Shout me, mate. I'm there very early, though, 8 o'clock every day. So if you're down at that time. Listen, Joe, pleasure having you on, as always. Obviously, you can check out the Just Joe Football Show on YouTube. Joe Wainman on Twitter, is it? Or
Wainman Joe?
Yeah.
Wainman Joe.
Go and check him out. We've obviously got Before the Whistle Blows every Thursday. I'm on there. Locks may turn up, he may not, but it doesn't matter because you get quality guests on. So. But we'll leave it at that. Take care, everybody. I'll be back for the post-match tomorrow. Fingers crossed, West Ham batter Leeds. And Joe, unfortunately, will be in peace. Take care.